Well, good evening. Today we're going to be talking about compatible numbers. So our lesson tomorrow in class will be over compatible numbers and estimating. So how can we use compatible numbers to estimate? And in fact, what are compatible numbers? Well, compatible numbers, it's like rounding without rules, so to speak. And compatible numbers are numbers that are easy to work with. A lot of times when we think about compatible numbers, it could be the same as rounding. The same rules could apply. Or it could be like 25 because we use, or anything that's a multiple of 25 because we generally use 25 when we think of money, when we think of quarters. So 25 is usually a good compatible number when we estimate. So that's what we're going to go on. So we are about to go into multiplication, and we've just wrapped up addition and subtraction. We'll continue to talk about those, but we are going to use compatible numbers. So what does that mean? So let's say we have 24 plus 47. If we were going to round, we might round 24. So I have two boxes here, one for rounding, one for compatible numbers. If we were going to round, we might say 24. Oh, well, that would round down. So 24 is closer to 20 if we had our number line. 24 would be closer to 20 than it would 30. So this would round to 20. And then I'll just write it like it was supposed to. All right, 24 plus, and then what would this round to? 7 is closer to 50 than it is to 40. So we would say this one rounds to 50. Okay? So now 0 plus 0, 0, 2 plus 5. Let me make my 5 look better. That still looks like an S. I'm sorry for that. All right, 2 plus 5 is 7, or 20 plus 50 is 70. Okay, so that's pretty easy. And remember, rounding helps us to get an answer quick. Compatible numbers, they're also going to be numbers that help us to get quick, and they actually might be more exact. So let's say we have 24. Well, with compatible numbers, 24 is pretty close to 25, and we use 25 a lot, right? So when you think about quarters, you use 25. So 24, we might say, oh, that's 25. And then we might say 47. Well, you know what? That's close to 50. And so now we have an answer. It's not completely rounded. There's not zeros in the ones place. But, this is a close enough answer that we can do pretty quick. And we say 25 plus 50. Oh, that's like a quarter plus 2 quarters. All right, so that's 25 cents plus 50 cents. Oh, that's easy. That's 75 cents. 5 plus 0 is 5. 2 plus 5 is 7. So that'd be like 75 cents. Well, what would be our actual? Our actual, let me show you. Our actual would be 24 plus 47. All right, so this isn't actually a hard problem. It's pretty easy. I chose some pretty easy ones to show you. 4 plus 7 is 11, but we can only put 1 in the ones place. We have to regroup. So that becomes, we had 110, so it goes to the tens place. 1 plus 10 plus 2 tens equals 3 tens. 3 tens plus 4 tens is 7 tens. So the rounding, it was closer this time. But sometimes you might find that the compatible numbers are actually closer. So just depending on what they are. So let's go ahead and look at our next one. And yes, our next one is multiplication. Before you freak out and say, I don't know how to do this, you do. We've been kind of doing it. We've been working with it, and we're going to go into it. So don't worry, it will be okay. I'm just showing you how to use compatible numbers to make it easy. So if we're rounding, 27 is definitely closer to 30 than it is 20, because that 7 is closer to the tens. So we're going to say 27 is going to be round to 30. And then 5, we can keep that the same. Since that's a pretty easy number, we aren't going to round just that one digit. That would make it a lot different. So we're just going to keep that one the same. 27 times 5, we'd round to 30 times 5. Make it easy. Again, my 5s are hard with this thing. 5 times 0 is 0, so 0 goes in our ones place. 5 times 3 is going to be 15. So that's 150. All right, so that's 150. Let's use compatible numbers. Compatible numbers, we can think, oh wait, 27 is close. 27 is close to 25, so I could say 25. And now we can think about this. So this is where compatible numbers helps us. 25, and again, 25 is like quarters. So if you had 4 quarters is $1, so that's 100, and then 5 would be 125. Or you can say 5 times 5 is 25, and you regroup. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 125. But if you think in quarters, that helps you out a lot. And so that's where 125. What would our actual be? And for actual, we can kind of do it to the side here. 27 times 5. And I'm doing algorithm, but I'm going to show you lots of other different steps when we get into them pretty much soon, next week actually. 5 times 7 is going to be 35. So I regroup. So we have 30. So we put it in the tens place. We have 3 tens. But we're going to add that later. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 3 is 135. All right, so which one was closer? This time, compatible numbers were a little closer. It was only 10 away. This was 15 away. So sometimes compatible numbers will be closer. Sometimes rounding will be closer. These are how it works. It are just 2 simple ways to help you find a quick answer. And so like you might use this when you go to the grocery store. You might use this when you're doing some other things. So what I'm going to have you do is you're going to practice rounding and using compatible numbers to solve a couple problems. And it'll be okay. I'm more concerned about you rounding and rounding with compatible numbers than I am with you actually solving the problems correct. I'd like you to solve those. Let me show you. So on the left side of your IMB, you're going to solve this problem. 55 plus 16 equals, and you're going to solve it using rounding and compatible numbers. So first of all, you're going to show how you can round 55 and 16. What would those? And you're going to follow the rules, because rounding you have to follow rules, whereas compatible numbers, not so much all the time. You just find what's closer. So what would you round these numbers to subtract them, and then what would you use for compatible numbers? So that's the first one I'm going to have you do. So you're going to make a T-chart right here, one side rounding, one side compatible numbers. And then I'm going to have you solve a different problem. So write this one down, and then I'm going to have you write down the next one. Now this one is multiplication, but again, this is okay. We haven't really gone over this too much. I'm more concerned about you rounding these and then using compatible numbers. Okay? So think about it. For rounding, think about the rules of rounding, and for compatible numbers, think about quarters. And if you had 4 quarters, what would that be? That will help you out. So that's going to help. So do this on the left side. Once you solve both of those, you're going to actually show those in class tomorrow. We'll go over those in class. All right, that's it.